Welcome to the student panel for our freshman seminar class. I'm going to introduce the students by their names, and then they're going to tell you what their major is and how long they have been at UNC Charlotte. So, Katrina.
My major is social work. I've been here since 2010, so I'm a junior.
Elizabeth.
My major is public health, and I've been here for 3 years.
Stephen.
I'm going to be in exercise science next semester. Just got to crush the rest of my classes, and I've been here for about a year and a half.
Devontae.
Pre-kinesiology, going into exercise science, and I am currently a sophomore.
Carrie.
Hi, my name is Carrie. I'm a nursing student, and I've been at Charlotte since freshman year, so it's about 3-ish years.
Kim.
My name is Kim, so I'm a nursing student also, and so this is my 4th year.
Okay, now we're going to open up the discussion. So whoever wants to come up to the podium and ask either one of the members of the panel a question or the entire group can come up now.
How are you guys doing? All right, well, this is for the pre-kinesiology majors. How hard is Chem 1251?
It is awful. It is like the worst class I've ever taken in my life. It is so bad. I cannot emphasize how awful it is. Like, you've got to do your tassel stuff, which is like a class outside of the class that's mandatory. You got to do online work, right? You had to do online work? Yeah, you had online homework, and then you had like 4 tests, I think. And yeah, I skated by just barely. It was awful. There's some bad moments in that class.
Do you guys have any regrets about your college experience?
I don't. I transferred I went to Gardner Webb, and then I went to a community college, then I came here. So I would advise, I haven't, but because I live off campus. I did live on campus my first year. I liked it, but it was costing too much, so I went back home. So I commute, but it's a good experience.
I lived in Witherspoon, and I guess it was Laurel, but now it's Wallace my first 2 years. And so I never lived in the high-rises my first year, so I regret not living in the high-rises, actually. You guys are probably looking at me like I'm crazy, but you are making a lot of friends there, so I regret not making friends in the high-rises.
All right, so I guess you guys live in Lynch? Yeah, I lived in Lynch last year, and it was cool. There wasn't any big regrets. The only regrets was I wish I had kept my door open more, even though it's like a violation or something to have your door propped open, or at least it was back then. So I kind of wish I could have gotten an apartment somewhere and just been like, do whatever I wanted to do, but I mean, did it all for the learning community.
I would probably agree with her. I wish I would have stayed in the high rise, because in Lynch you're kind of like secluded and everybody does kind of their own thing. So I would say I do regret not living in a high rise, as weird as that sounds. But also I would encourage people to do stuff outside of campus, like CAB or the pre-kinesiology. There's a club and all that other type of stuff. So I would encourage you to do that.
What are some of the challenges you guys face since becoming a student here?
One is talking in front of a lot of people like today, and then like a lot of like hands-on projects and writing a whole bunch of papers, especially in social work. If you go in social work, you're going to be writing a whole bunch of papers. Like I just got done writing a 10-page paper that's due Thursday. And it's just a whole bunch of work, but you can get it accomplished by the time your professor says it's done. So I would say manage your time wisely.
To piggyback off of what she just said, time management is really hard for me. I work 25 hours a week probably at the hospital, so doing that and being in upper division is pretty tough. So just make sure that if you're going to work, that you realize that working should be important to you, but your grades are your main priority. So you can work later, but grades are now.
Have y'all been in relationships throughout college, and whether you're single or in a relationship, do you think that helped you be successful?
Okay, well, coming into college, I was in a pretty serious relationship for like 2 years, and he ended up going to Wilmington, and I'll say that secluded me from a lot of friends because that was all that was important for me. That obviously ended up ending shortly after that, probably like a year after that. So I would say be single, it's more fun, and you'll make more friends and have more memories that are better. So.
All right, so I can't speak for any girls in here, but guys, do not start like dating a girl and just be like, yeah, you could stay in my room. It's not fun, because then she's going to be there like every second. And that will really distract you from your studies. And you're here for school. And so just remember that.
I'm not knocking relationships or anything like that. If you're in one, that's all cool. But I would say stay single also, just because it's college. You need to have that free time, all this other type of stuff. So just have fun while you can. Be smart and safe, hopefully. But just, yeah, you need all that free time.
How have you made friends so far?
All my friends are probably in my classes just because I'm in a cohort, so I'm with them for 4 out of 5 of my classes. So I stick with them to do all my homework, and they help me get better grades, so they're my friends.
There's a lot of way to make friends. I mean, most of my friends are from the learning community, but I mean, if you just like go around on campus, like you could play like flag football, you could go to things at the SAC, you could go to what's it called, the student union, and do like the student union events they have, the gym. There's like tons of places where you can just like make friends. So, and that's most of the places I listed is where I met most of my friends.
Same, mostly just all the classes. But I would like to say that to give advice, like if you're having trouble making friends, I would probably think of it like if you think you're very easy and approachable to go up to, everybody else is also. So I would just take that chance to, to go talk to people and make more friends.
So my question is, how do you all balance your studies with your social life?
During the week, I don't have a social life. It's kind of, well, I think it's kind of hard because mainly what I mainly do during the week, I go to the gym and then I go to class, and that's pretty much it. But on the weekends, it's not so bad because everybody's weekend mostly start on Friday, so you have all those days. So you have plenty of time to study, and you have plenty of time for social life, so it's not that bad.
What have you found that has connected you to UNCC?
My freshman year, Sarah Potts, or now Sarah I don't know what it is now, but Sarah. Yeah, she was my advisor my freshman year, and she was a good go-to person for me. So she's who really connected me and made me want to stay here instead of transferring out somewhere else. So thank you if you can find an advisor or a teacher. It's a good person to follow you through your 4 years.
What are your studying habits?
I have class Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So I study on Monday and Tuesday. I usually get all my stuff out the way. And like if I have a quiz, like I got a quiz on Thursday, so I'll probably study tonight and then into Thursday because my class don't start till 2 o'clock. So you can manage it by, at least get maybe like a couple days ahead of time and study.
With my experiences, I can usually study like the day before, but it's not just the night before, it's like the entire day. So I know you're not supposed to cram. People like say it's bad. So every now and then I'll try and get ahead like 3 days, but that's rare. So, but just being honest, if you just pay attention in class, then you should be good. But if you're sitting in class like with your headphones in, like on your computer, and then you try and study everything that you learned or didn't learn in class the day before the test, you'll probably fail.
How did you manage your time freshman year?
Well, since freshman year was like more of a transition period, I managed my time pretty bad. Pretty much because I almost feel like you have personally, I have too much time. So I don't know what to do at that time when to study and all this other type of stuff. So like they were saying, I'll probably just try to find a routine that works best for you.
What was the hardest challenge you faced freshman year?
Doing my schoolwork was the hardest challenge. I, like a lot of kids, get caught up in like what's going on the weekends and like what are people like doing outside of school, and some of it's inappropriate, some of it's not, and it's tough, yeah. And like you said, there's a lot of free time, so it's like you kind of get overwhelmed with that. So it's like one day, like on Monday, let's say you have like 2 classes, you get out at like 12, so you got like the entire day. And then Tuesday, you're just going to be like, oh, I just want to do what I did on Monday. But you've got, like, classes until 5. So, and, like, now that you have nobody to tell you to go to class, you'll be like, oh, well, I can skip the class if I want. Or, oh, I can just sleep through it. So it was tough to go to class and, like, do the work, especially online homework, because it's usually placed at, like, inconvenient times. And it's just like, oh, I don't need to do that, and I'll just do well on the tests. So that was the hardest part for me.
The hardest part my freshman year probably was just living on my own and dealing with my own routine and being away from my parents' house. And I was dating somebody my freshman year too, so just not being with them and just finding my own. It sounds cliche, but you guys are figuring out yourselves too, so it's a process.
Have there ever been times where y'all felt like giving up or like you couldn't do it? And if so, like how did you get through those hard times?
Like when you first get into like social work, you have to write 2 papers, and I was like, oh my goodness, you gotta go through all this, you gotta keep your grades up, and it just was like I was like, man, I don't want to do this anymore, but I pushed myself because I need to make some money because I don't have no job at all right now. So and plus I just want to be successful in life.
I'll say my point has come. My first semester of upper division, I felt like there was so much homework and so much stuff due, and I was like, nope, not doing this anymore. And then I realized how much work that I've done to get into upper division and that there's no other option. Like, you're going to graduate with this degree, and that's that. So you're going to have to push through. So.
Okay. So for pre-nursing for 2 years, it was really hard. It was a lot of chemistries and it was a lot of chemistry and anatomy, and I think it's just like the passion of being a nurse, and I think you have to see the whole picture of like, is this what you really want to do? And yeah, I think you have to really fight for it, because there are times it's gonna be really hard because of all these tests, and when you get to nursing school, and it's harder, it's not getting easier. So I think it's just really the passion, like, that motivated you to do what you want to do.
Hey, I was just wondering, what classes have you found most interesting, and would you recommend any to us, like liberal studies or anything?
I would say that while you can, before you get into your field of study, is to take really what interests you, and to try and pick the classes that you feel most inclined to, obviously, because I know for personally that there are classes that we all have to take, and I picked one just out of the blue for convenience, and I ended up making all A's in the hardest classes and making a B in a World War II class because I didn't have interest in it. So I would say honestly, it is just dependent on what your interests are personally, and what you feel that you are going to be most dedicated to, because sometimes those classes that you just brush off are the ones that can get you in the end.
Okay. What's your favorite thing about being a student here?
I like going to UNC Charlotte because I know that once I graduate, Charlotte is a huge city, so I know there's going to be a lot of opportunities for me for employment post-graduation. Rather, if you went to Appalachian, you're going to be stuck in Boone, or you're not going to be stuck there, but you're going to graduate in Boone, you're not going to have many contacts in the mountains probably. So there's a lot of employment options here, so a lot of networking.
I agree with what she said. And UNC Charlotte is a good school. I mean, it's one that a lot of people hear about, and you probably get a good job opportunity.
If you live off campus, if you have an apartment or whatever, do you think it's harder to force yourself to go to class and do better? Do you think you would do better if you lived on campus?
Okay, well, I live off campus. This is my first semester. I moved in May, and I actually like it a lot better because I only have 9:30. That's the earliest class I have. So my first 2 years, I had 8 o'clock classes, and it was pretty horrible, but I was already on campus, so it wasn't a big deal. But now I have 9:30 classes, and so once I drive to campus, it's like, well, I already drove to class. I might as well stay the rest of the day because I spent the money in gas. So as long as you can get yourself up to go to class, it's not that bad. And then once you come home, it's like you get to be away from school for a little bit, and you're not literally on campus for your entire life. So that's nice.
This is my second year off campus, and I love it. Like, 'cause I used to live in Lynch and Milkmore, and it was really nice, but it was really expensive. And I think moving off campus is really cheaper, and it's like, you have to pay for parking pass, but you have to that if you live on campus. I like it so much more than living on campus.
I would say that my first 2 years, it was a definite plus that I lived on campus because I got to meet, well, do y'all still have to live in the learning community in the same building? Okay, so I met a lot of people through that are still my friends today, and it does, all the people who have the same major as you, it does help that they're all in one place. But after 2 years, I was a little done with student housing, so I would say my favorite was the apartment that I got to walk to campus because I didn't have to pay for parking, and it was close enough. It was pretty much the same distance from where I lived on campus to class than it was off campus. So I'd say the first 2 years were definitely helpful to live on, but after that, it's up to you.
What did you do when it was raining?
Raining? You just suck it up. I mean, you have to walk to class anyway in the rain if you live on campus too. So just invest in some good rain boots and a rain jacket.
What would you guys consider your biggest influence or motivator to do well?
My biggest motivator is my mother, cause she went to college and she done got 3 degrees. So I really want to do that and make sure that she's proud and my parents are proud of me.
Mine would also be both my parents. They're working really hard to put myself and my brother through college, so I'm trying to give back to them and make sure that I can do the best that I can in my schooling. So
mine is also my parents.
Hi. So my question is for the 2 nursing majors. How many males are in the nursing class?
Well, it's different every single cohort. So for us, cause we accepted last spring, and our cohort have 4 start out first, and then 1 drop out. So we have 3 now. But but the cohort before us have like 10. So, but all the guys hang out, have really fun together. So I mean, you find some best friends in there.
And my second question is, for pre-nursing students who are about to apply for upper division, what do you recommend that they have before they apply or accomplish, like voluntary service? No, not just necessary grades, like volunteer service or things that we should do. What do you recommend that we should accomplish before applying for upper division?
I would say definitely get out the checklist and make sure you have everything, because Kim and I actually ran into some issues as far as we took a class over the summer because we thought it would be better with that certain teacher, and the labs got messed up, and that's why we were a semester behind. So make sure before you make decisions like that it's gonna still put you on track. And as far as hours, there's a big debate over whether hours matters or not. They say it's optional. I would recommend just doing it. I mean, you'd rather just do it and increase your risk. Your chances of getting in than not doing it and regretting it. I know some people who had a lot of hours and didn't get in, and I know some people who didn't have any and got in. So it really is debatable, and who you're competing against too. If a lot of people end up having hours, then you're probably needing the hours to do that as well.
Do you mind me asking what you did to obtain your hours?
What did we do? Yeah, we did the nursing home. Yeah.
Oh, well, just like you say, like make sure you do that 50 hours because they say optional, and I think just like for me, I just called a nursing home, and so I just follow the activity coordinators for 50 hours. So I play bingo, and then I go to Walmart's with them on field trips. But like you don't have. You need to have your CNA, but you don't. But at least if you have the 50 hours, you don't really have to work anything.
This is more towards the pre-kinese majors, because that's what I am. They say that like your freshman year, I guess, is like one of the hardest years, and I guess dealing with chemistry at all, especially 1251. Would you say it got easier for you your sophomore year, or do you think it's still like hard, still the same amount of work?
1251 is hard. It's not impossible, but also with your tassel, they give you a lot of time, and you get a lot of one-on-one work and stuff like that, so it shouldn't be that bad. And then, have you took a test already? Oh yeah, you're right. Well, when you take a test, like you could still get the answer wrong, but if you do all the work prior to it, you can still get like 8 out of 10 points and all the other type of stuff. But I wouldn't necessarily say it gets easier, because anatomy and physiology, personally, I think it's still hard also. So it's personal preference, I would say.
Plus, with Chemistry 1200, if you do well in that class, don't go into Chem 1251 thinking like, oh, I did well in Chem 1200, so it should be easier because I know Chem 1200. Basically, when you take Chem 1251, your first test is on everything you learned in Chem 1200. So it's like after that, it's a whole nother ball game. So you can't just like slack off. Basically with Chem 1251, it's like you can't slip. You just gotta set up a routine and follow it through the entire semester, or it'll catch you off guard. And like you said, anatomy and physiology is still pretty hard, so it's not like it's gotten easier, but it's a different type of like hard. Chem 1251 was like mentally just like awful because it was so much stuff. But anatomy, it's like you've got to memorize a bunch of things, which is still very annoying.
All right, I just have one more question for the pre-kinese as well. I'm not sure if y'all said y'all are both going into exercise science. I'm trying to go into athletic training, but I guess it's kind of along the same page. Is there anything you did like outside, like volunteer work or hours, to prepare yourself to apply for upper division?
Well, I know we did the nursing home. I would probably encourage, like in the summer, probably do stuff in the summer, like shadow somebody. But I had the thought of going into athletic training also, but then also exercise science just like has so many open doors. So if you don't get into athletic training, not saying that you won't, of course, or anything like that, but it's like just different stuff like that. So
I did the observational training a year early, and I was on the basketball team with the head athletic trainer, and that was cool. You get to do stuff like wrap the ankles, and like I don't know. I gave a guy an ultrasound on his leg. I didn't know you could do that, but yeah, it's pretty weird. But I got to sit down on the court, like watch them practice, and you get to know the players, which is cool too. So I'd say go ahead and like get involved with your I don't want to say department, but like school. Like I worked at some things that Miss Potts set up, and got to meet some of the higher ups in my division. I don't know, like people that I needed to know, just to like push my way into like knowing them better, I guess.
My question is for the pre-kinesiology students too. How difficult is it to get into the athletic training program versus the exercise science one?
It's outrageous. Athletic training, they take like, I don't know, it's like 16 people. Yeah, and like 90 kids apply or something. Yeah, it's true. Yeah. In exercise science, there's no cap. So it's like you can get in as long as you have the criteria, and they'll have somewhere to put you. And I'd say if you want to be an athletic trainer and go into athletic training, you're going to be an athletic trainer. But if you go into exercise science, you could be like an occupational therapist or a physical therapist or a CSCS, which is a strength and conditioning coach, basically, is what that means. And there's just so much more you can do with exercise science. But if your dream is athletic training, then, I mean, you can work your way up there and get into it. It's just like the nursing majors. I mean, if you get into nursing, it's pure hard work and, like, perseverance, I'd say.
Hi, I have a question for the public health major. What should I think about doing during my summer to increase experience and competitiveness in my major?
I would definitely say volunteering. Volunteer as much as you can. Try and get involved in, like, do you live in Charlotte? No, where are you from? Raleigh. Try and get involved in any organizations that are there in Raleigh. Like, prior to applying to the upper division for public health here, I was involved in, like, the Center for Hope that's off Graham Street. It's a homeless shelter. I worked there for, like, probably off and on for 2 or 3 months, and just did a lot of volunteering. For your essay, I would make sure that's your strongest point. Make sure that you really have a passion for public health. Make sure you're not in it for the money, because it won't be there. But just make sure your essay is the best that you can get it to be, and you should be okay.
If you've taken any classes over the summer, did you enjoy them, and would you recommend us take them?
Oh yeah, oh yes. Summertime is so easy. Like it's 5 weeks. I had 2 classes during the summertime because I couldn't take them in the they was filled up during the regular thing, but it was easy. I mean, you get it's just you might have one paper or whatever. You might have a couple projects, but it's just like real smooth and easy in the summertime.
I would also be careful, though, because it depends what class you take, because if you take, like, a chemistry class during the summer, it's not going to be as fun and easy as she's talking about, because it is a class crammed into, I don't know, how many weeks is it? 5 weeks. So, and it depends what professor you have, so just be careful of that. And they are kind of pricey, I think. I haven't taken one before, but it's like, I don't know, there's a lot of fees added onto it, so just be aware of that.
So Kara and I, we took chemistry in another campus, so UNCG, and it was terrible. It was horrible. Like, everything crammed in for 5 weeks, and it was really, really hard. So I feel like other classes is better, but for chemistry and anatomy, try it in micro. Just take it in the semesters better than the summer.
So, like, how do you deal with stress?
It's individual. I think breaks are like when you're studying and you're stressed, you're not absorbing the information, and sometimes just like a 5-minute break really helps. And having a support system and having people that are in the same scenario as you, have the same tests and the same major is really helpful to vent. And personally, prayer, but that's up to you. And just having the goal of the future in mind helps me sometimes not think so much about the present, but that all of this stuff builds up to eventually reach my goal.
I feel like every Sunday, I don't know, I cannot speak for the majors, but for nursing, you just work out a schedule. Because for nursing class, you have the same schedule every semester. So I would put the time where I go work out. I would put the time where I hang out with my friends. And it's like when you know that your brain is not working anymore, just stop and go sleep. Because like, I don't know, like people could stay up all night and study, but is it better to have like a 5-6 hour sleep than 3 or 4? And when I know that I can't handle anymore, then I just go sleep. And that's because if I tell myself I'm gonna study to 11, and I'm gonna stop at 11, and like freshman year and sophomore year is the time for all you guys to make friends, you know, and so be with and those people are gonna stay with you. Like we've been friends for 8 years, you know, forever, and they're gonna help you. And like you say, prayers. That's all you can do.
I just watch a funny movie and pop me some popcorn, sit on the couch.
So I heard that at least one of you was a transfer student or transferred between schools. How hard was that transfer and to get credits to transfer in the transition?
It was hard because I transferred from a Gardner Webb and then to a community college, and then some of my community college credits did not transfer here, so I had to some of them just like electives here. So like I'm going back having to cause so we got a new curriculum at social work, so I gotta go back. I'm thinking that my community classes would classify as the population classes, but they're not. So I have to take some more classes. So I mean it depends. Usually you can look at it like the community, whatever college you at, you can compare it to this one to make sure that it's equivalent to what you're taking here. So make sure it transfer.
So earlier on, I think it was Kim who brought up studying abroad and actually going to England. So my question is, being a pre-nursing student at the time, I think, were you? No? Okay, no. Well, like, how did you balance your schedule, and like, what classes did you take while you were, not in the country?
Okay, so Karen and I are a semester late because the whole thing with the chemistry of the summer, and then our lab did not get we couldn't take it at UNCG, so we have to wait until next spring for 1204 lab. So that's why we put a semester late. So we didn't meet the requirement for nursing school for the fall. So she stayed here for minor in public health, and then so I decided to change. So I decided to take women's studies. So when I went to England, I took all history class. It was really cool. It was amazing. I mean, it was really different because like all chemistry and anatomy went to history, but it was really amazing because it's such a beautiful countries and I get to see all that. So
I would ask, what kind of study tips do you guys have for those classes that you just like can't stand or like can't pay attention in?
Are you talking about for like the classes that are really like boring?
Yes.
Put your phone away. I know it's an easy like way to keep you up, but if you can just put your phone away, that's one way, one, to not get called out, and then two, to make sure you're actually listening. Whether or not you're taking it in, that's another thing, but at least you're not being distracted. I say put your phone away and then just write down whatever's on the board. Even if you're just writing down the PowerPoint that's going to be posted on Moodle later, just write it down so that way you're processing it out one way and it's giving you something to do to stay awake. So that's the best way I've done.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. Another little thing to add on to that is you could put in headphones, like have one headphone in and play some like nice music.
I just said no cell phones.
Well, I'm talking about like iPod Classic. 160 gigabytes. So you just like listen to some music. So it's like it still keeps you awake because you're still listening to it, and it's like it's keeping you preoccupied, I guess. But don't listen to like slow stuff 'cause that's gonna put you to sleep, obviously. But just like small little things.